Hi, this is going to be my updated review of the Saddleback Leather Classic Briefcase on dark coffee brown, the large size. This is a video that I did not think that I would have to do, but over the course of about the last month and a half of having this bag and uploading my other video about a week ago, I thought that this update was appropriate. So my video from last week was filmed a little bit earlier than that period and was originally meant to be just the initial evaluation of this bag before I started doing head-to-head comparisons. Unfortunately, over the period of the last month and a half of having this bag, I've started to notice some quality issues that have arisen. I pointed out a few of those initially in my video, and I figured that those were just tiny little things of the bag breaking in and starting to get used. One thing I haven't addressed in any of my videos has been the fact that over the last about 4 or 5 years, there has been an increasing minority of voices online criticizing the quality of Saddleback leather and the quality control issues that exist. It was always, to me, something that seemed like a very small minority of people, and the criticisms always seemed to revolve around the type of leather, some of the changes they made in the leather, and some of the pricing changes. It was something that I never really thought would affect the day-to-day quality or the life expectancy of the bag. However, it seems that I may be proven wrong at this point. So I'm going to start talking about each of the individual quality issues that arisen over the last month and a half. So I have used this bag daily over the last month and a half. I know I've done reviews of one other bag, but I have actually owned probably 4 other briefcase bags in almost very similar, some of them the exact same design from the various other competitors that exist on the market. The Texpo bag was the only one that really impressed me given its price point, which is why I posted all those video reviews of it. Starting from the top of the bag, if you remember from my previous video, I talked about parts of the stitching fraying. What I did not mention was that when I first got this bag and it was brand new, none of this fraying existed. I thought this was just kind of the bag breaking in. However, what had started as a single area of fraying right here has now extended over here and exists in no other part of the shoulder pads. I can't help but think that given the way these pads are arranged on it and the fact that my shoulders are only right here and rubbing against it on a regular basis, this fraying is a result of how I use my bag. What is harder to see here, because I don't have a macro lens, is that other stitches around it have started to look as if they are starting to fray and may start to break. I find that pretty concerning given the fact that I have a bag that is a quarter of this price, and after 2 years those issues never arose. Also, given how much Saddleback stresses their quality control, their combination of handmade and machine-made products, and the fact that they stress very much the type of stitching and the type of material they use for their stitching, I can't help but think that this is something, to me, that is absolutely unacceptable. This level of fraying, and if you look through the rest of the shoulder straps, this is not at all a quality control issue for this specific product, I don't believe. It's because of the way I wear the straps. These 2 areas are the areas that rub against the top of my shoulder the most and the areas that get the most stress and thus are starting to fray. I haven't noticed anyone posting about this online, so I don't know if maybe I just had a bad batch of leather and maybe it was an artisan who, wasn't up to snuff that was making my bag, but it is concerning. The second issue that I've noticed here is actually along the materials that this is made out of. And this may be a little bit harder to show, and I'm going to try to angle this so you can see. But this buckle here along the inside edge that rubs the most is starting to rust, is starting to get damaged, and the chrome is starting to rub off. And that is also seen on these two D-rings, which I'm not going to show you because they are actually incredibly hard to see unless you look really, really closely under the right angle. But compared to unused D-rings, it is very clear that this, whatever metal is being used, is breaking down at a very high rate. This second clip has the same issues, but not to the same degree. And I'm not sure why one clip is wearing down more than the other. It could be the way I hold it, the way I use it. It just rubs against it more. But in a product in which they claim that all of their hardware is the best possible hardware you can use, and there's breakdown like this that I didn't see in any of the other bags that I've ever owned, is very concerning. Now, granted, other bags, yes, the chrome has rubbed off after using it. There have been kind of these areas of the metal that get kind of worn in because I do put a lot of stuff in my bag and it does start to wear things down. But after about 60 days of ownership, no, this has never happened to me before this quickly. And I find it very, very concerning because these pieces of metal they're tough, they're heavy, they look like they're made to stand the test of time. And if after 60 days, this is what I see, I'm not really sure what's going to happen over a longer period of time. The other area that I've noticed with the stitching is the way I carry my bag against my body. It's along one shoulder, and my leg rubs right up in this corner. And if you look at some of my reviews on my other bag, you'll notice this back half here, the leather gets worn more than this front half, and that's just how the bag rubs against my body. And what was originally a completely perfect stitch right up here has started to wear and fray as well. And this was actually the first thing I noticed. And then I started looking around the bag and noticed all these other issues. And, you know, it is double stitched. There is a bunch of other stitches here. But this showed up after about 45 days of use. And it just seems odd that multiple areas of high impact and high use, the stitches are starting to come apart. And that's really, really worrisome in this bag. No, I will say nowhere else on this bag have I noticed this. And other than the shoulder straps, I haven't noticed any other areas with stitches going other than those three parts. But for a bag that nearly cost $1,000, I think that's really, really worrisome. You know, this bag's supposed to have a 100-year warranty, and my level of confidence in Saddleback is waning a little bit. Now, the other area that I've noticed an issue is along the inside here. If you look right here, this piece of leather pigskin leather has not only torn, but it's torn in multiple areas if you look closely. And when I first got this bag, this was a part of the pigskin leather that looked a little bit different, but I never really thought much of it. And then over the course of 2 months, after daily use of the bag, I started to notice that it looked as if parts of it were rubbing off. And I didn't really think much of it until I finally looked a little bit closer the other day and I noticed that it's actually separation of the leather and parts of the leather coming off. Now, originally I thought, well, was this damage? You know, was it because I'd thrown something sharp or heavy in my bag? Is it because something, you know, when I was taking something in or out of my bag with my hands, I'd hit it? And I really can't think of an incident. And I think this level of damage to what is supposed to be really tough leather would have to be an incident in which I remember it. Now, I can't say for certain whether or not this is a quality issue or quality control issue, but it does seem odd that the area of breakdown is along a really high stress line in the bag in which the leather is wrapped around what appears to be a piece of metal, and that damage extends to multiple areas, including areas in the bag down here that I can't see, but I can only imagine that this tear extends underneath this piece of metal in an area that I wouldn't physically be able to reach and damage it. So I would believe that this type of damage would only occur during the production process and was not caught by quality control. Because if you actually look along this side of the pigskin leather, I kind of push it down, there's no damage along the leather lining. It's only on this bar, and the damage extends all the way in the edge and possibly beyond. So if I was to actually physically damage this edge to the point that it goes underneath it, this inside leather would also be damaged since they're made of the same material, and whatever is tough enough to damage this would have damaged that. And The fact that it exists on one part and not the other makes me feel as if it was just basically something that occurred during production that either was or was not noticed. And if it was and ignored, that's even more concerning. The final issue that has arisen in the bag is with the center strap and usage of the strap. Now, along the outside, the strap looks beautiful, looks perfect, doesn't look like there are any issues. Along the inside, however, if you look, the leather here along the strap areas, and there's only about 3 straps holes that I use, is starting to separate. Not that it's starting to stretch, but there's actual physical separation and chunks of leather that come off. And it's not on the shoulder strap that I use a lot. I've never seen this on any other leather product before, but it's like cracking and it's also separating out. And that is really concerning. If you look at my thumb, you see I can literally separate out the top layer of the leather that's been treated with what is in the center. And I have essentially stopped strapping this bag because I'm really worried that I'm going to make a bad thing worse until I figure out exactly what's going on. I'm not totally certain if this is something that's supposed to happen to the leather and then after a while wear in. The other bags I've had with center straps, they do start to stretch out a little bit and build a really good patina, but I've never seen that physical separation of the leather. Now I know taken individually, each of these is a very, very small piece of the equation, a very small problem that probably doesn't affect the usage of the bag. The main piece of the leather, the main use of this bag hasn't been affected by it, but I'm a little worried after 2 months that this has shown up. And if I was someone who's considering buying a bag today, I think this would be a video that I would want to know and I would want to exist online. I'm sure that there are other bags out there that are probably much, much better examples. So what I've decided to do is I wanted to make this video first and just put it out there before any of my views, concerns, or anything else get tainted or changed from outside sources. I have contacted Saddleback Leather today, sending multiple photos, including very, very high quality photos of what I see, and asking their customer service, who is second to none, to help me out and figure out how we fix these problems. So I will definitely be giving you an update whenever that happens. If they decide to replace my bag, if they repair my bag, I will let you know what happens. This could very, very well be a one-off. This could be a function of the fact that I've never owned an $800 some leather bag, and maybe this is something that is completely expected of an $800 leather bag that is partially handmade as compared to some of the previous bags that I've had that are $200 to $400 that may be more machine made, but just it doesn't feel right to me, and I wanted to put this video out there. Please don't judge Saddleback Leather on the single video. Please don't judge Saddleback Leather on single comments as well. But I think taken as a whole, with the multiple comments that have been started to post online among leather forums about changes in the quality, concerns about the quality, concerns about the current bags compared to previous bags, the increases in price, I felt that this was a very appropriate video to put online. But I will be holding off on my Texpo videos for the next couple of weeks to compare against the Saddleback Leather, because I think it's kind of unfair to compare them against the bag that possibly could have been defective and maybe should have never left the factory and for some reason did. And if I need to get another bag and have them replace it, I will be doing that comparison after they've addressed these issues. So I think it would be a fair head-to-head comparison between the two bags. However, I do want the general public to be aware of the fact that a bag with these types of defects that looked perfect on day 1, but on day 60, there are 10 separate issues, does exist out in the wild. And maybe it is a reflection of the fact that they are putting out products faster and faster and quality control starting to go down, but it's not something I can speak to. I don't work for the company. I don't know anyone at the company, and I certainly don't get any financial sponsorship from the company. So there's a lot that I don't know. So I just wanted to get this out there, and hopefully everyone can take it and, you know, use with the information what you will. I think right now I'm a little bit upset, so obviously in my video there's going to be a little bit of a bias. This isn't going to be a completely straightforward video, but it is the truth and it is what you see, and a lot of this stuff you can see with your own two eyes. If anyone is interested or does want to know, I can attach links to the photos and put them online, but I think this video does a pretty good job of showing these small drops in quality that you would never expect of a bag of this caliber and this price.